How's it going, guys? I hope you're all doing well out there today, wherever you are in the world. In this video, we're going to check out 3 amp in a box pedals from Friedman Amplification. We've got the Smallbox, the Dirty Shirley, and the BEOD. I've done full demos of both the Dirty Shirley and the Smallbox, which I'll link up here. And after doing those videos, I got asked which ones you prefer, which one sounds better into which amp. So hopefully we're going to answer those questions today. I've got 3 amps set up through my, KHE amp switcher that I've just received, and I can switch through them on the floor, so hopefully it'll be in shot. I've got the Laney LC, which is set up for kind of a Fender clean, a bit scooped, quite a lot of headroom. The Laney VC, which is more of a Vox style preamp and not much headroom. And then we've got the Marshall Origin for that classic Marshall thing. So we can flick through the pedals and flick through the amps, and you can hear what's going on. This isn't going to be a fully comprehensive demo of all the controls on each pedal. Like I said, I've done the Shirley and the Smallbox, and there's plenty out there on the BEOD. This is just showing you the differences and some similarities between them where they cross over. They all feel very different to play, which obviously doesn't come across, but I'll try and comment on that as we go. There's a few major differences control-wise. So the Smallbox has bass, middle, treble, presence, gain, and volume. And then on the side, you have a structure switch. I think it's called structure. I will correct it if not. Which when you're high up on the gain, gives you more of a classic kind of gain range or a more hot-rodded gain range. The Dirty Shirley, the biggest difference with this one is it has an active mid EQ. So it lets you add loads of mids if you want it, which is great for a more scoop sounding amp. And it has a tight switch on the side. The BEOD has a fixed mid-range control, so you can't control it from the top, but it does have a tight knob, very much like the Buxton Boost, which I featured in another video, which is here, if you want to check that out. So that really tightens up the bottom end. So for that little intro clip there, I set all the pedals up in what I think really shows off their sonic signature, their wheelhouse. Like if I just pulled the pedal out of the box, slapped it on a pedal board, and I was setting it up for a gig, those would be the settings that I would choose. I picked a very similar gain range for them. They all have a very different gain range. The Smallbox has the widest gain range of all, from right low gain to high gain. The Dirty Shirley sits in kind of a mid gain camp up to higher gain, but sort of a classic voice. And the BEOD has all of the gain imaginable and is perhaps a little more modern voiced. To kick off, I'm going to leave them set how I had them for the intro, so set up as I would if I pulled them out of the box, plugged them into an amp and set them. And then we'll scroll through the 3 amps so you can hear how the different voices of the pedals suit different amps. So we've got the Laney LC, which is more of a Fender voice. So the Smallbox is quite a classic Marshall. Am I allowed to say Marshall? Marshall style thing. The Shirley is more classic, more mids, and perhaps a more focused sound. And then the BEOD is the high gain, pretty tight with that tight knob kind of sound. So for this kind of amp, you can really hear how the extra mids in the Dirty Shirley bridges that kind of natural scoop of the amp. Whereas if we go over to something like the Laney VC, which is Vox voiced, the mids of the Dirty Shirley are perhaps too prominent. So this is the VC. So much more mid heavy and not as much headroom. Smallbox. Shirley. And BEOD. Moving over to the Marshall Origin. So when I did the demo of the Marshall Origin, a lot of the comments were like, I can't get it loud enough to do the breakup gain thing. So if you want a hot rod your Origin, any of these pedals are a cracking choice. I've got the Origin set up clean with as much headroom as I can get out of it. Smallbox. Shirley. And BEOD. So scrolling through those amps, hopefully you can hear that the character of each of these pedals suits different amps better. I mean, it depends entirely on your playing style. I want to just pick one of the amps, so we'll stick with the Marshall and show you the lowest and highest gain reaches that you've got on each pedal. So starting with the Smallbox, this is the lowest gain on tap. Shirley. And then the BEOD. That's the lowest gain it has. There is a little trimmer inside if you wanted to adjust the gain range, but I've just left it stock. So none of them have a particular shortage of gain on tap. It just depends what kind of voice you want. I mean, that BEOD has more gain than any human could possibly ever need. And like I said, the Smallbox can definitely get lower gain than the Dirty Shirley. I just want to show you the mids control on the Dirty Shirley versus the Smallbox. So this is like a standard sort of passive mid control versus the active control on the Shirley. So let's have a listen to the Smallbox. So plenty of mids on tap, and it's very much more like an amp mid-range. With the Dirty Shirley, when you're set at minimum, that is kind of flat. So as you raise it up, it's sort of a boost only. It sounds like this. So it's a very different kind of mid-range, and depending on what amp you're plugged into, either one may suit your setup better. And the same with the BEOD, depending on your guitar, your style of playing, and what amp you're running it into, that might suit you better. Quickly checking out the tight control on the BEOD so you can hear what it's actually doing. I like it around about the middle, which sounds like this. As you lower it, you'll add back in like bass content. So it can get a bit fuzzy on the bottom end, but as you raise that back up, which is a really cool sound. It gets quite tight and percussive. Over on the Dirty Shirley, you've got something very similar, but because it's more of a classic voice pedal, for a lack of a better word, it doesn't go super tight percussive. So I, 99% of the time, leave the tight switch on, which sounds like this. Off sounds like this. So with things like those tight controls and the active mids on the Shirley, as well as a really comprehensive EQ on each pedal, it will really let you hone it into your particular guitar and amp setup and your playing style. And hopefully today, just by going through the voices of each one through different amps, you can decide more carefully which one is for you. They all have a very unique voice and they feel very different to play. The BEOD, for example, feels very compressed and easy to play. And then with the tight control, you can make it really percussive. The Dirty Shirley is a real classic voice pedal, and that mid control is exceptional for certain amps. Like if you're playing a Fender style amp, I'd probably always reach for the Dirty Shirley over the other two. And the Smallbox has such a range of tones. The Smallbox is possibly the most flexible out of the three. I mean, just buy all three. No, but hopefully, like I said, this video is going to help you decide. So we're back on the Laney LC, and I'm just going to have a quick scroll through the pedals, doing some random settings so you can just hear some of the breadth of tones from each one. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you found this video useful. As always, if you like this stuff, please like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me out pushing the channel forward. And I hope to see you in another video soon. Cheers, guys.